Okay, let's give Carlos our attention. Remember to be filling out your peer feedback as it's going.
Okay, so this is my little portfolio thing for quarter 4. I've only started doing these. This is only my second one because I got to switch here second semester, so I don't, So here's my little thing. You can see all of my little things. I did the second question for it, like the one that's all about identity and stuff like that. So here's all my stuff. You can check it. Okay, so for the identities that I think the most often about is my race and emotional development. So with my race, I think about it a lot because like I grew up in a Mexican household, so I experienced a lot of like Mexican like beliefs, traditions, stuff like that. But I'm the only person in my family that doesn't speak Spanish, so it's just like conflicted. And then my emotional development, I grew up with like a really bad anxiety disorder. I don't know if anybody knew me in like middle school, but like I was a little bit weird. I was like kind of crazy, but like, fix that, got better. So, it's good. And then the ones that I think about the least often are religion and age. Honestly, for age, I feel like I'm just like really mature. So like age doesn't really matter to me. I don't think too much about it, so whatever. And then religion, I'm not the most religious person. I really don't think about religion like that. I don't pray, I don't go to church or nothing like that. So my identities I want to learn more about are my race and ethnicity. I mean, I'm being the only person that doesn't speak Spanish in my family. It's like affecting me a lot. Like honestly, my grandma, she recently passed away, and I felt really bad because she only spoke Spanish and she had a really strong bond with all of her other grandkids, but I didn't because I was never able to speak to her for real. Like I only had to like tell people when I wanted to say it. Identities that have the strongest like stuff like way that I perceive myself is gender and sex. I mean, if you know me, you know that basically almost all of my friends are mostly girls. So I basically always hang out with girls. Like that's just like my group of people that I feel really connected to. And I just really perceive myself as like never being able to fit into that group just because of my gender, just because of like I have like an obvious like disconnection with it. And then my greatest effect on how other people perceive me is my sexual orientation. People like literally just look at me and they be like, "Oh, that's a little gay boy," whatever. I feel like that's the first thing that people see when they see me, hear me talk, whatever, like that, So yeah. Okay. So here's what I wrote for it. So for my identity, I chose 3 of them. I chose gender, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status. And so for my gender, I went into one of my notes and I found this quote that I wrote, and it said, "Myra reminds me of myself and how I used to be bullied for not being like as masculine as other boys." So like growing up in like elementary school, middle school, I was bullied like a lot, and I just let myself take it. Like I didn't have any confidence or nothing like that. I just really sat there and like people like pick on me, bully me. I even like laughed along with them most of the time, just like get it out of the way. And then with sexual orientation, I talked about how one of my aunts and like a lot of people, not only one of my aunts, but like a lot of people in my family are really like homophobic, really like racist towards me. And like they just like, I don't know, they make me really uncomfortable. I have a huge disconnect from a lot of my family. I don't really talk to a lot of my family and not close with a lot of my family members. But it's really just because like I can tell that I'm different from all of them and I just never felt like comfortable with it. And then socioeconomic status, I wrote about how I feel comfortable where I'm at. Like I said that I'm middle class right now. And I just feel really comfortable, really grateful for where I'm at right now to even have like a roof over my head, to even like be where I'm at. Because there's so many people who have way less than me, who don't even have like a bed to sleep in, who don't have a roof above their head. And I just feel like really appreciative of what I have. So moving on to question 5, which is skill. Okay, so a skill that's been like really, really difficult for me throughout the year has been my quotes. I was never good at finding quotes. I was never able to like go into a book and be like, "Oh, that's a really good quote. That's a good quote for like this. That's a good quote. I want to write an essay about that." And like I just really sucked at it. So I always end up finding like the worst quotes, stuff like that. I found 2 really good examples of quotes right here that I like personally. And this one is from what's it called? Far From the Truth. And it says, "That's what happens when you love someone. They're brave when you can't be." I just felt like it was really powerful. I felt like it was a really good quote to like support relationships and to write an essay around relationships. Now what I do when I write, when I look for quotes is I base it around an essay. Like I think about how I can fit it into an essay, how I can support it with evidence, how I can justify that. So yeah. And then moving on to question 6, which is the intellect section. So the intellect, okay. The intellect section, the intellect section, oh my God. The intellect section. Wait, okay. Oh, so these basically help me find out most of my themes. So it's basically saying, I know this now, I know that now. So it's basically, I go into a story and whenever I think of something while reading it or like while like going back over it, annotating and taking notes on it, if I think about something being like, oh, that's like some type of like discrimination. Oh, that's some type of this. I think about themes in my head and that's what goes into my intellect section. It's honestly helped me out a lot, but I never really struggled that much with themes just because like I feel like there's so many different themes, even if it's like a single like, what is it called? Chapter. And just like so many different ways to interpret them. Okay. For criticality honestly really helped me like understand the inequalities in the world and just like how separate the rich is from the poor. Like how they have so much that they're not even willing to give up any of it to people who like desperately need it, while they have like way too much that they don't even like, you know, they just have an unnecessary amount. Like where there's people who do actually need what they have and they just don't offer any of it. It just feels really messed up to me. I went into my first little note thing and I said, Miss Sims had power. She didn't use any of her power for equity, but to like use it against racism and like oppress people, like say racist things towards like all the people in her little like neighborhood. And then she only furthered racist stereotypes that have been oppressing people for years. I think this is just like a really like, she has power and she's just using it to only hurt people who are already like knocked down. And I just feel like it's really bogus. Like I really like want people to be as equal and as like, you know, together and unified as we can. And so the assignment that I'm most proud of is my Act 5 for Macbeth. I honestly thought that I killed this project so much, not project, this little assignment so much. I went in there and I was just reading that. I was like, oh, boom, 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 boom. Like going through it and just like getting annotation after annotation. We're like, I'll talk about it later, but like when I first started doing these Macbeth annotation things, I sucked at it. I could not get a single annotation. I didn't know what none of it meant. I was like Googling every single word that I was reading. Like I was so confused. But like when I read the Act 5 one, I was just able to get it done really quickly. I know I'm gonna get a good grade on this. And this room here, if I don't get a good grade on this, I'm gonna be like a little bit of solution. So for question 9, the one that needs improvement, I could say Act 1 one. I really got only like a couple annotations in the entire thing because I did not understand any of it at all. And I'm happy with the progress that I made in annotation. I know I'm gonna use it in like future years, take annotations while I'm reading. Because like after I read the Act 5 one, I was able to just read it and take annotations while I was doing it easily. So I feel like when I'm reading like a book in the future, I can just like read through it and like write down notes while I'm doing it. So yeah, and I got an F on it, so. Oh, I went too far. How do I go back?
I think you just click the other review.
Okay. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. So what helps me learn the best and like what helps me remember stuff the best in this class is repetition. Like if there's anything that's repeated over and over and over again, like with the notes, I sucked at them in the beginning of the year. I was getting straight F's on them. Like, but as we got like further into the year, I'm so good at them. Like I can get those done in like less than 20 minutes. Same thing with the annotations. I sucked at them when that started and I'm better at them now. Like it's just like if something's repeated, like if assignments are repeated, I just get way better at it. So for my previous letter, I only have one previous letter because I just got here. But for my previous letter, most of my goals were just to keep going with like the uphill, like what is it called? Whatever. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. And just keep going up because like at that point, I already made tons of progress from when I first started in the school year. And like, I know that even now from then, I've made so much more progress and I'm so proud of like, what are my goals? Like I completed my goals. I'm like continuing to like go upward. I'm way better at annotations. I'm way better at notes. I'm way better at writing essays. I got my first A on a PBA. And like, you know, I just feel like I've gotten way better at this class in general. So for my sophomore year, I said that I'm gonna use like the annotation skills that I learned, the note-taking skills, like my essay skills that I learned, and I'm just gonna apply that to everything inside of my sophomore year so I can keep getting the good grades that I'm getting right now. And so my three little goals that I have for sophomore year is to use my knowledge from this year to write essays better, to find quotes that will help me support my essays, and to use my ability to annotate to use in my future stories I read sophomore. And honestly, I feel like I'll be able to do that easily after what I'm doing. So that's it.
What do we have for glows and grows? Glows and grows.